I like, and I use myself as an example, if I had to go back to the same strategies that I used when I competed at the Olympia, now I would be having a daily mental breakdown.
Oh, yeah. Any of us.
So I had to adapt. So I think that if the word that we're looking for is adapting and letting go of an idea of that everything needs to be perfect at all times, because it's not, especially when you have people that depend on you, be that your team, be that your kids, be that your spouse. You know, how many times have you been called by your kids at school and be like, yeah, they vomited, or this happened, or
Just
that
yesterday.
happened.
No, just kidding.
You know what I'm saying? So, and you have to stop whatever it is that you're doing, pivot, and go tend to those people that need you. And I find that people let that get to them, and instead of adapting, okay, so your training session is normally 45 minutes to an hour, and you only have 30 minutes today. And you're like, so what's the point? Throw their hands up in the air. Instead of doing the 30 that they can, they do nothing at all. And then it just becomes a snowball. So it's the inability to adapt to when circumstances
are not
happen.
Perfect.
Yeah. And it's never going to be perfect. Like airplanes, it's funny because I have a member who is a pilot. And I was asking her, I was like, how many times do you have to adjust the plane whenever you're going from, let's say you're flying from New York to California? How many times do you have to adjust the plane? Even though you have that perfect map put in the computer that you're going to go from A to B. And she's like, loads of times. And I'm like, exactly, you have to adapt.
Do you think there is a way, because by the way, again, we trained this morning, you look amazing. Do you think there is a way where it can be less consuming and where it's almost as if fitness and nutrition is not even something that you think about?
Yep.
What does that look like? How does someone get there? Do they structure their nutrition plan? Do they structure their training? How does it become second nature?
That's such a great question. I think that the first thing that needs to happen, it's not going to happen overnight. And I think that that's something that we need to make it very clear. It's not going to be like, oh, and I'm cured, because we're not just addressing the physiological side of things. It's not just like, let's change your diet, let's change your nutrition, let's change your training, and that's it, call it a day. There is the psychological piece of it as well that we need to talk about, because results might not be as fast. In navigating that challenge of comparing to what used to be whenever you were doing extremes, it's a big layer of it. Or, if there is a little bit of a plateau, and resorting to that. So navigating that part is probably going to be the biggest piece. But starting with a nutrition plan that works for your life. For example, I'm going to use my mom as an example, because my mom is like she has tried every diet, you name it. She rocked in my house.
Did she try the Lyon protocol? Forever Strong yet? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. She doesn't ask me for advice. And I'm like, I'm looking at her. She arrived in my house before Ozempic was even a thing here in the US. She came from Brazil with it. And I'm like, the hell is that? Oh, it's going to make me lose weight. And then she would go to the bakery and come back with like glazed donuts. And I'm like, what are you doing? I digress. So if you have somebody who is always on a diet. So I called my mom, and she was doing the keto diet. And she's like, I lost 20 pounds. And I'm like, great. What are you doing? I'm doing this thing called the keto diet. And I'm like, tell me more. Like I didn't know. But just for context, my mom loves bread. In Brazil, we love rice. It's just what we do. So she's telling me that she completely cut out bread and that she's no longer eating rice. I'm like, so if you're eating like 5 or 6 French rolls that have 120 calories each every single day, and you remove that, you can see how it's not just that keto is a magic pill. Mm-hmm. You're removing calories from your plan. And I was like, do you miss bread? She's like, oh my God, so much. I can't wait to eat it again. How is that going to be something that is going to keep her weight off in the long run, if she already is telling me that she can't wait to have that again? So really understanding what is your lifestyle, what is something that you're not going to dread, because people struggle to stay consistent with something when they completely dread. So there is going to happen a level of, we're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle, because you can keep on doing what you're doing, but if you keep on going to the extreme, the pendulum is gonna keep on swinging on both ends. So how can we find in the middle? Find that happy medium. Even if that is, if we're looking with somebody who has Whataburger or Chick-fil-A or whatever it is 5 times a week, okay, can we reduce that to 3 times a week? And take it one day at a time, because it becomes very overwhelming for somebody to completely remove everything that they enjoy right out of the gate, because they're not bought in yet. They don't trust you yet.
Do you feel that once they begin to see changes, that potentially the shackles of what they felt like they needed or what they felt like they could never give up changes?
100%. And that's one of the biggest things that we do in the internal training with my coaches. We need to give them what they want in the first 2 months, so that we can deliver what we know that they need.
For example, food or results or what?
Results. Because that's, and even, and I hate to say this, but the truth is, even whenever we have somebody that comes to us and is like, oh, I don't want to lose any weight. And if they don't lose 1 pound in the first 10 days, they're freaking out. Oh, this is not working. So really understand the in between the lines. That is, I think, the biggest piece of coaching is to understand the words that haven't been said, so you can give people what they want. And then once you are bought in and they're like, oh my God, you're the best thing ever. And I'm like, okay, you trust me now. Because I think that that's a big misconception that many coaches have, that just because somebody has joined your program or has purchased your services, that they trust you. They don't. They do not. They're only going to trust you the moment that you give them the results that you promised them that you were, or at least the tip. At least a little bit of it. That is the biggest piece I find from my experience of coaching that has been pivotal to understand people on that aspect.
Is basically you have to be able to get a sense of what they want and then deliver what they need. And oftentimes, do they know what they want?
I try to become as clear as possible. But the thing is that oftentimes they keep it very surface level. And then it kind of goes back to what you were talking about. That is like, oh, I want to lose weight. And then the more you start to peel, oh, I want to start to lose weight because I haven't been able to have sex with my husband. Or I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight because I want to feel good. Why do you want to feel good? Oh, because I haven't taken photos with my kids in a year and a half.
That is just, it's so heavy. It's so heavy mentally, the burden of not being able to enjoy life because of the constraints of weight or nutrition or lifestyle is it's heavy.
And I might go on a tangent, and
I like the tangents
because that's something that pisses me off royally. And it's whenever you have a woman that is like this, okay, that finds herself in a position where she doesn't want to be intimate with her husband. I've had ladies that canceled vacations with their family, won't take their kids to the pool. Will, and we see this everywhere that we go. Everywhere that we go out. We were on the beach a couple months ago, and I looked around. It was just the dads playing with the kids because the women were like wrapped in a whole bunch of clothes, sitting on a chair. Some of them wearing leggings, and it's like 100 degrees. I'm like, girl. So, and what happens a lot of times that I see is that they put the power of decision in their husband's hand from a financial standpoint. Oh, my husband did. And, from a business perspective, I understand that a lot of times it can just be a smoking screen. But there have been several occasions. I mean, I've had a call with a lady who cried, and her husband basically told her that he wasn't attracted to her. He wasn't a call. And at the end of it, he was like, we're not investing in a program for you that can help you. Why are you putting yourself in a position where other people are making decisions for what is taking your life away? You're just existing at that point. Because if you're not taking photos with your kids, if you don't want to be intimate with your husband, if you don't want to go on vacation, there have been some ladies that told me that they didn't even want to go to the park with their kids. If you're living like that and you're putting the responsibility of making a choice on somebody else's hand that has never lived a day in your life, that's wrong.